Chapter 2481. The Three Supreme Elders hum. Two figures slowly stepped out of the spatial passage when it appeared. One of them was a 2 meters tall, brawny elder with long purple hair. His towering figure stood there like a mountain. The brawny elder had black thunderbolts flashing around his body which made him look exceptionally sturdy and formidable. The other person was a slender young woman completely shrouded in a black robe. The pretty young woman stood there without making a sound, as if she had turned into darkness. The people on the glade turned tumultuous when they saw those two arrived. Ultimate gods. 2 ultimate gods. These two are the other 2 supreme elders of the Great Compassion sect. The black-robed woman was an Xianxia. I heard she's a killer and the top assassin in the Wuxia wilderness. However, after she became a supreme elder a long time ago, she had stopped doing that. Otherwise, anyone could hardly survive after being targeted by her. The purple long-haired elder is the tyrannical Lei Chong, who was also a reputable ultimate god super expert in the Wuxia wilderness. Lei Chong, and Xianxia, and Fan Zhenxian. All the 3 supreme elders of Great Compassion sect are here. A series of exclamations broke out from the crowd. The various sects' divine demons experts shuddered. Ultimate gods were highly exalted in Wuxia wilderness. It was usually extremely difficult to even see an ultimate god. No wonder everyone was in a stupor when they saw 3 ultimate gods appearing together. Those 3 ultimate gods were there for Jian Wushuang alone. You are here? That's quick. Jian Wushuang stood there watching the arrival of an Xianxia and Lei Chong with a hint of excitement in his eyes. Along with Fan Zhenxian, I hope these 3 will not let me down. Jian Wushuang's fighting spirit had explosively risen in his heart. The 3 supreme elders of the Great Compassion sect had soon gathered together. Brother Zhenxian, are you injured? What's the matter? Lei Chong asked. The supreme elders had addressed each other as brothers and sisters. It's Jian Wushuang. Not only did he possess the power of an ultimate god, but his combat skills are also at the peak of the ultimate god realm. I was careless and got accidentally injured when I fought against him. It's him. Lei Chong glanced over at Jian Wushuang. He's only a divine demon, a second-class divine demon to be precise. Could he possibly have the combat prowess of an ultimate god? And Zhu was surprised. Don't underestimate him. His strength and capabilities are not confined to his cultivation level. Besides, he has an extremely high understanding of laws. Not only can he appear in 2 hologram images using the space-time law, but he has also mastered the first stage of transmigration law. His sword skills are comparable to mine, Fan Zhenxian explained solemnly. It's strange that he did not try to escape even after knowing I've sent a message to both of you. I believe he must have some strong backing which he hasn't revealed yet. Lei Chong's expression was cold. Strong backing? No matter who or what that is, he will have to die for hurting you and killing so many Great Compassion sect's genius disciples. Let's act together and kill him. Following Lei Chong's stern orders, the 3 supreme elders of the Great Compassion sect concurrently took action. Hum. A majestic sword intent rose as Fan Zhenxian displayed his sword world once again. Although the sword world was only a shell, it had a repression effect on Jian Wushuang. While the sword world rolled out. Junior brother Fan, I'll help you, said an Xianxia, who waved while being shrouded in a black robe. A stream of dark air current instantly welling up from her body before shot out in all directions at an astonishing speed. The dark air currents soon enveloped the entire battlefield and formed a huge dark domain before combining with the sword world and crashing down on Jian Wushuang. This move. Jian Wushuang's eyes flickered. He recognized the technique performed by an Xianxia. When the few Great Compassion sect's genius disciples besieged him in Saint's Tomb, Yu Aoqing, one of the 12 minor kings, had performed the exact same move. However, Yu Aoqing's move was obviously not at the same power level as an Xianxia's. An Xianxia was Yu Aoqing's master after all and had taught Yu Aoqing that technique. The combination of the sword world and the dark domain had greatly oppressed Jian Wushuang. The 3 supreme elders made their moves and attacked Jian Wushuang with Lei Chong leading the attack. It was 3 against 1. The various sects experts who acted as spectators had a strange expression on their faces. In their opinion, Jian Wushuang's strength was incredible nonetheless, but his age and cultivation level were still rather young. However, those three great Compassion Sect Supreme Elders had joined forces against Jian Wushuang despite having lived for such a long time. Such bullying behavior was rather embarrassing. Then again, the world was never fair in the first place. Only strength and power were acknowledged. The great Compassion Sect's background and strength were acknowledged, so no one present dared to say anything even if they thought those three Supreme Elders were bullying the younger generation. Thunder exterminate. Majestic black thunderbolts pervaded Lei Chong. Under the guidance of his finger, the black thunderbolts in the void formed 9 black dragons. Each of those 9 dragons contained terrifying world destruction powers. On the command of Lei Chong, those 9 dragons roared and attacked Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang remained calm and advanced forward as the 9 dragons headed for him. Swash! 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 9 horrifying sword lights appeared at the same time, and each of them decapitated one of those 9 dragons' heads. Those 9 dragons could barely even put up a struggle before collapsing instantly. I must say, that was rather powerful, but my moves aren't as simple as it seems either. Lei Chong's eyes were cold as he stared ahead. A large number of black thunderbolts rolled out and instantly formed a black hell after the 9 dragons' collapse, trapping Jian Wushuang within it. Following that, a large number of black thunderbolts blasted upon Jian Wushuang. Chapter 2482. Fighting against 3 ultimate gods. Each of those black thunderbolts bombarded Jian Wushuang's divine body. If it was an ordinary divine demon, those black thunderbolts would have instantly pulverized his body. However, Jian Wushuang's divine body was the most perfect divine body that only a perfect chaotic creature could possess. The black thunderbolts did no harm to his body. Humph! Letting out a cold and derisive snort, he discharged his majestic divine power and crushed those black thunderbolts into debris. Jian Wushuang was suddenly alarmed. He had similar feelings before in the Saint's Tomb when Yu Aoqing planned her attack during the siege. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang disappeared and an apparition took the place where his previously physical body was. Chug! The void was torn apart as a sharp dagger directly passed through Jian Wushuang's apparition. A shrouded black-robed and Jun Zhu unexpectedly appeared in the void. She was the one who stabbed the dagger. An apparition. And Jun Zhu squinted her beautiful eyes. Indeed, it's you. Your skills are much more sophisticated than Yu Aoqing, but it's a pity I won't fall for the same trick twice. Jian Wushuang's figure appeared in a void not far away with a grin on his face. Earlier at Saint's Tomb, Jian Wushuang was not able to escape from Yu Aoqing's perfect sudden attack. If it were not because of his invincible divine body, he would have perished. Even though Jun Zhu had the perfect timing and technique, Jian Wushuang was no longer the same as before. His ability to perceive danger had improved by multiple folds, allowing him to detect Jun Zhu's assassination move far in advance. Don't be too happy. Jun Zhu glanced at Jian Wushuang coldly. In a flash, the dark air current circulating around produced identical figures. 2 figures stood side by side, each holding a dagger and aimed violently at Jian Wushuang. This is the Dark Clone. Jian Wushuang was amazed. The Dark Clone was an ability acquired when the one reached a rather high level in understanding the law of darkness. Jun Zhu had obviously attained that ability with her high understanding of the law. Exterminate! Jian Wushuang raised his sword with a backhand motion. The sword technique impelled space-time and caused ripples to form in the surrounding void. That was his space-time sword technique first form, cutting snow. 2 dark clones were immediately smashed by Jian Wushuang's sword. Jian Wushuang! A loud roar sounded abruptly and Fan Zhenxian appeared next to Jian Wushuang. His face was stern as the green long sword in his hand turned into a steel whirlwind. Swoosh! 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 A series of sword shadows were attacking Jian Wushuang from multiple tricky angles. Jian Wushuang had just defeated the 2 dark clones and was recovering from the suppression of both sword world and dark air currents. The sudden attack from Fan Zhenxian had caught him off guard. However, he was able to regain his composure very quickly. Piss off, my defeated opponent. Jian Wushuang's long sword thrust forward with the strength of samsara as he performed transmigration sword technique second form, Samsara empty strike. Interchanging between the palpable and imperceptible moments, it was hard to see which sword moves were real and which were just an illusion. Fan Zhenxian contracted his iris to stay focused. He was wounded by Jian Wushuang before. Although he recovered a fair bit after swallowing the elixir pills, his combat power was nowhere at his peak. He dared not let down his guard and exhausted his strength to resist that attack when faced with Jian Wushuang's sword, causing his body to be expelled to some distance away. Right then, an extremely terrifying and violent aura came from above Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang raised his head, only to find Lei Chong had somehow appeared above him in the void. Lei Chong's body soared to a height of 5 meters with 2 large hammers in his hands. The 2 large hammers looked like 2 hills and impelled the unabating power of black thunderbolts when being waved around. Go to hell, brat! Lei Chong descended like the god of thunder while yelling. The 2 large hammers in his hand were swinging around frantically, ready to slam down hard on Jian Wushuang. Rumbling. The heaven and earth growled fiercely under those 2 large hammers. Jian Wushuang knew it was too late for him to dodge, so he could only raise the sword in his hand and discharge an astonishing gush of divine powers to parry off the attack. However, with a loud bang, the heavens seemed to crack open, releasing waves of violent black world-destroying thunderbolts. After the loud noise, a stream of light slammed into the ground below like a meteorite. That stream of light was surprisingly Jian Wushuang. He was smashed into the ground by Lei Chong's 2 large hammers and the ground suddenly shook as a huge pothole appeared. Before Jian Wushuang could stand up from the pothole, a surging amount of black thunderbolts formed around Lei Chong's body. Black thunderbolts explode. Kaboom! Along with the collision of 2 large hammers, huge black thunderbolts as thick as buckets descended. The huge black thunderbolt was aimed directly towards the pothole where Jian Wushuang was located. Kaboom! The pothole and the entire surface of the ground were destroyed. The black thunderbolts covered the entire ground and destroyed everything. After a while, the black thunderbolts gradually dispersed. Somewhere above in the void, the trio Lei Chong and Jun Zhu and Fan Zhenxian stood side by side as they looked down below. Is Jian Wushuang dead? Fan Zhenxian murmured. Humph, if just based on attack power, I'm rather powerful and violent among many ultimate gods. This brat has been hit twice in succession. The last Black Thunderbolt's explosion move was extremely powerful. Even an ultimate god who suffered its frontal attack would be severely wounded if not killed. It would be hard for Jian Wushuang, who is just a divine demon, to resist that kind of impact, explained Lei Kuan scornfully. No, we can't pass judgment based on common sense for Jian Wushuang. His divine body is invincible. Senior brother Lei, your 2 moves might not be able to kill him, but perhaps it's not a far cry to seriously injure him, said Fan Zhenxian. Let's see. And Jun Zhu seemed extremely cold. From around the battlefield, the various sex experts were also staring at the seemingly lifeless scorched earth that had been previously covered by those black thunderbolts. Jian Wushuang was in the hole. Everyone was curious if Jian Wushuang survived those brutal attacks. Suddenly, boom! Large rubbles were lifted up from the pit as a young figure stepped out of the debris and appeared in front of everyone. Your thunderbolts were good enough to scratch my itch. Jian Wushuang looked up at the trio in the void while grinning from ear to ear. Chapter 2483, Destroyed His Not Dead. Lei Chong had lightning in his eyes. Not only is he not dead, but the breath of his divine power also has not weakened. It seems he was unfazed, said Jun Zhu coldly. This brat. Fan Zhenxian's expression was extremely ugly. On the ground, Jian Wushuang raised his head to look at the 3 ultimate gods above and slowly receded his smile. Among the 3 ultimate god experts, Lei Chong's attack was brutal and is the strongest among the 3. And Jun Zhu is good with the law of darkness and domain control. She is able to derive a clone of herself, and she also has perfect assassination skills. She is indeed someone extraordinary. Fan Zhenxian appeared to be the weakest of them, murmured Jian Wushuang. These 3 ultimate gods have joined forces, and it's indeed difficult for me to contend with them single-handedly. If that is the case. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with a sharp glint. The stellar strength which had integrated into his divine body's blood and essence instantly surged and spread from within his body. 7 Stars Secret Technique. Activate. The 7 Stars Secret Technique was one of the 5 most powerful secret techniques of the 7 Stars Black Sect. It was much more advanced than the Stellar Star Secret Technique practiced by Jian Wushuang in his previous life. The Stellar Star Secret Technique he performed in his past life was heaven-defying. However, without the will of Heaven Wei's influence, he would require a long recovery period before performing it again. On the other hand, the 7 Stars Secret Technique was different. Once the 7 Stars Secret Technique was refined and fully integrated with divine power, as long as the cultivator had sufficient divine power, one could perform and repeat the technique over and over again without the need to take a break. Hence the reason it was considered one of the strongest secret technique of the 7 Stars Black Sect. Jian Wushuang began to execute the secret technique with nothing holding him back. With the power of stellar strength, Jian Wushuang's divine power breath spread out at a speed visible to the naked eye. Initially, he had just crossed into the second-class divine demon realm. However, he soon progressed to peak of the second-class divine demon realm in a short time. He was only a small step away from becoming a first-class divine demon. Having made that achievement, he relaxed his pace a little. The peak of the second-class divine demon. Unfortunately, the first volume of the 7 Stars Secret Technique could merely help me improve by half a realm at most. If I can refine the second volume of the 7 Stars Secret Technique, I would be able to cross into first-class divine demon. Well, it's good enough. Jian Wushuang balled up his fists to examine his powers and felt his divine powers improved quite a fair bit. At the same time, his majestic divine power burst out wildly from behind him, and in the blink of an eye, a huge golden god shadow was formed. The golden god shadow had then increased in volume and risen to 900 feet from Jian Wushuang's realm improvement. The 900 feet of golden god shadow was very close to the divine god of punishment second stage and could assist Jian Wushuang in his strength improvement. Using 2 major secret techniques simultaneously, Jian Wushuang's overall strength instantly rose to a whole new level. Now, I can have a good fight with all of you. Jian Wushuang raised his head. His sharp eyes met the 3 ultimate gods above. Under his gaze, the 3 ultimate gods felt a tremendous pressure on them. This brat's divine power breath seems to have improved. Fan Zhenxian commented. I felt it too. The golden god shadow of his seems to be powerful as well. And Junzhu looked solemn. No matter what trump card he has, we have 3 ultimate gods join forces. It should be enough to put up a fight. How can we be afraid of him? Lei Chong said coldly. Both Fan Zhenxian and Junzhu nodded in agreement. At the very next moment, the sword world and dark domain once again oppressed Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently. It's that domain again? Do you think I don't have one? Now, I want to see whose domain is stronger. Jian Wushuang waved his large hands and several palm prints were sent directly towards the void ahead. The prison of punishment. Rumbling. The golden divine power suddenly erupted from the golden god shadow and gushed from all directions at a terrifying speed. The surrounding world was originally covered in the dark air current domain of Junzhu. However, under the crazy impact of the golden divine powers, the dark air currents were retreating. In just an instant, the dark air current domain was shattered by the impact and had completely collapsed. Did he just crush my domain? Even Junzhu was shocked to see what happened. After her domain collapsed, the golden divine power was still steady going forward, forming a huge golden divine power ocean that engulfed the entire battlefield in the blink of an eye. Thereafter, the golden divine power ocean transformed into a huge golden prison. This is the golden prison. Many various sects' genius disciples were shocked to see the scene. Most of them had seen the golden prison in Saint's Tomb. None of the nearly 50 first-class divine demons who tried to kill Jian Wushuang had a chance to escape due to this infamous golden prison. They were either mercilessly slaughtered by Jian Wushuang, or they had to crush their safety token to escape from the tomb. The golden prison had reappeared once again. What was different from before was that the golden prison currently had 3 great compassionate sects' supreme elders within it. 3 ultimate gods. They were trapped inside the golden prison. Lei Chong, and Junzhu, and Fan Zhenxian looked solemn. They did not take it lightly just because their opponent was a divine demon. Suddenly, boom, following the control of Jian Wushuang's mind, the golden divine power swept across and acted on the bodies of those three ultimate gods. They instantly felt a huge mountain weighing billions of pounds was on top of them. The oppression had greatly reduced the power they could exert. This domain is much stronger than what I've displayed. And Junzhu said coldly, "Be careful." Lei Yichong added. Jian Wushuang, who was under their close observation, made a move. Swoosh! His figure flickered and left two apparitions in the void. The infinite sword intent discharged by Jian Wushuang was like a hungry and ferocious beast as it lurched frantically towards its prey. "Look what I've got!" screamed Lei Yichong. Black thunderbolts surged out of his body that had soared to a height of 5 meters and formed a black thunderbolt prison of 100 meters diameter from him. He stamped his soul hard, and the void under his feet immediately cracked open as he held a large hammer in both palms and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Following that, his two large hammers were flung out. Chapter 2484, Destroyed, Star Thunderbolt Explode. Lei Yichong's eyes flashed with dangerous murderous intent as his two large hammers destroyed the world. Transmigration sword technique, hateful path toward heaven. Jian Wushuang's blood mountain sword swung around fiercely. Boom! The void was directly cut into half. Hate! 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 His sword light wantonly swept through the heaven with unrelenting hatred, and wherever the sword intent went past, it left a trail of ascent towards the way of heaven behind. That was the move that severely wounded Fan Zhenxian earlier. The only difference was Jian Wushuang had superimposed that move with the 7 stars secret technique and divine god of punishment, increasing its power by multiple folds. Two horrible blows of attacks collided. Head on. Bang! The sword light hit the large hammer's surface and made a ringing sound, causing waves of invisible ripples to spread. The black thunderbolts around Lei Yichong instantly dimmed along with the surrounding black thunderbolt prison which started falling apart. His figure propelled like a cannonball, and finally slammed hard on the golden prison's wall behind him. His divine body trembled and caved in from the impact as he spat out blood. Senior brother Lei Yichong was defeated. And Junzhu and Fan Zhenxian were shocked. Without warning, Jian Wushuang appeared next to Junzhu. And Junzhu was startled but not flustered. As her figure floated upward, dark air currents appeared in front of her and wrapped around Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang glanced at her coldly and he swept the Blood Mountain sword in his hand around 3 times. Wham! A huge sword net emerged and slashed the dark air currents into pieces. Jian Wushuang took a step and sent out 2 apparitions at the same time to approach Junzhu through the dark air currents. Hum! A vague sword light swept out. The sword light was captivating like something that could only appear in a dreamland. The moment it appeared, space-time seemed to be completely frozen. Space-time sword technique, first form cutting snow. No good. And Junzhu sensed danger. She was the Queen of Darkness, a killer and expert in dealing with fatal blows at perfect timings. However, she was not good at fighting head-on. With Jian Wushuang being so close to her and his horrifying swordsmanship, she knew she could not escape. At the juncture of life and death, and Junzhu tried her best to move aside. Fortunately, she managed to avoid the deadly sword. However, Jian Wushuang maneuvered the swordlight across with just a casual flick of his sword and cut through Junzhu's shoulder with a unique samsara strength. Chug! And Junzhu's right arm flung out. Senior sister. Not far away, a shocked Fan Zhenxian immediately turned into a stream of light and attacked Jian Wushuang. The green long sword in his hand discharged a shocking power that completely covered Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang glared at Fan Zhenxian before waving his sword in anger and freed himself. He did not use any skills. It was just a plain chopping motion but done with great strength. Clang! The sword intent around Fan Zhenxian faded while his figure was also severely smashed against the gold prison's wall. In the blink of an eye, 3 supreme elders and 3 ultimate gods of the great compassionate sect were defeated. They hardly had any room to struggle before they were destroyed. My hand! And Junzhu retreated a distance away. She was shrouded in the darkness again, stared at her right shoulder, and began using her divine power to regrow a new arm. However, She was surprised by the presence of a unique divine power around the wound. It was a unique power called Transformation of Transmigration Law, which made her unable to regrow her arms. Losing an arm had sharply decreased her combat powers. Jian Wushuang acted and was targeting An Junzhu. Damn it! An Junzhu wore an extremely ugly expression. Just when Jian Wushuang decided to keep hunting An Junzhu, a black light appeared without the slightest sign next to him. Jian Wushuang's danger-perceiving abilities allowed him to instantly notice the black light. It was a baby's fist-sized black bead. Although the bead was not big in size, its destructive aura was strong and suffocating. Jian Wushuang's face sank and swerved to the side. Nevertheless, before he could do anything, the black bead exploded. Boom! A terrifying power broke out from within. The power was much stronger than a full-blown attack from Lei Chong. It could actually be as powerful as a blow from a high-level ultimate god. Jian Wushuang was naturally hit by its mighty power since he was so near to the black bead, causing his body to be completely plunged into the violent force and the void not far away. Lei Chong rose to his feet again. He looked rather embarrassed with a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were fixed on Jian Wushuang. I didn't expect Jian Wushuang to be so powerful. He crushed me in a head-on battle. He's much faster than junior sister An Junzhu. His sword skills seem to be a bit more advanced than junior brother Fan Zhenxian. The most important thing is the secret techniques he possesses are terrifying, especially that domain which he is putting on display at this moment. I can't properly utilize my strength under this domain's limitation. In summary, even if his overall combat power is not comparable to an ultimate god's, it was infinitely close. This black bead is a life-saving weapon which I paid a huge price to refine. Its power may be equivalent to an ultimate god's attack, but it's impossible to kill him with just one bead. Lei Chong's face turned cold and immediately yelled out, "Junior sister An Junzhu, junior brother Fan Zhenxian, come here now." The single-armed An Junzhu and the severely wounded and pale Fan Zhenxian rushed to Lei Chong's side without hesitation. Lei Chong then flipped his hand and took out an identical black bead, but this time he did not aim at the void where Jian Wushuang was. Instead, he aimed it toward the golden prison's wall. The black bead instantly exploded when it hit the wall. The terrifying power was concentrated at one tiny spot that even the stiff golden prison's wall could not resist. With a loud bang, a big hole was blasted on the golden prison's wall. Go! Lei Chong screamed as he escaped from the golden prison with An Junzhu and Fan Zhenxian. At the same time, Jian Wushuang, who was at the Golden Prison Center, had also broken free from the Thunderbolt Bead's explosion and he chased after the trio. Chapter 2485, 100,000-fold Payback. On the glade far and wide, a huge golden prison was suspended in mid-air. The various sex experts could only hear the horrifying peal of thunder from the prison but had no idea what was happening in it. With a loud bang, a huge hole blasted through one of the golden prison's corners and three piteous figures shot out from the hole at their fastest speed to the distant heaven. The golden prison completely disappeared after the trio escaped. The golden divine power had also dissipated and revealed a figure in the golden prison center. Jian Wushuang looked magnificent and stunning with his sword in one hand and the 900 feet tall golden god shadow behind him. In the void at a distance, the three piteous ultimate gods had lost their tyrannical posture. Lei Chong, his face was quite pale with blood dripping from the corners of his mouth while the black thunderbolts around his body dimmed. Fan Xianxia's breath was extremely weak while the sword intent surrounding him was decadent. The worst was An Junzhu. Although she was still shrouded in darkness, everyone noticed her missing arm. The three ultimate gods were extremely miserable. On the other hand, there were no signs of defeat or disadvantages on Jian Wushuang. In fact, the aura emanating from him was much stronger than before. Looking at the brutal contrast, the various sex experts instantly understood the battle's outcome. The three ultimate gods joined forces and lost. Everyone was shocked and speechless. Of course, a small number of them were starting to get somewhat used to this familiar scene. Starting from the opening of Saint's tomb up to where they were, Jian Wushuang had proven his strength through multiple battles, rising from an unknown figure to someone terrifying. There was a massacre in the tomb and almost no one thought he could survive being besieged by many genius disciples, but he survived. Facing the siege of nearly 50 first-class divine demon disciples, including several 12 minor kings, everyone thought he was dead meat. However, the nearly 50 genius disciples were defeated by him. He was peerless throughout his time in the tomb. After Jian Wushuang came out of the tomb, the various sects experts had joined forces to kill him. Everyone thought that Jian Wushuang was bound to die. In conclusion, he instantly killed Tu Qiancheng before killing Han Yun and 3 other peak divine demons who fought against him in a formation. At that time, everyone was appalled by his capabilities. Thereafter, Supreme Elder Fan Zhenxian of the Great Compassion sect challenged him to a duel. Again, everyone thought no matter how strong Jian Wushuang was, he would not be able to do much before an ultimate god. But Fan Zhenxian was defeated by Jian Wushuang to everyone's astonishment. Up until his latest battle, 3 ultimate gods fought against Jian Wushuang, yet those ultimate gods were defeated. It was a miracle. Jian Wushuang had created multiple nearly impossible miracles within a few months' time since the opening of Saint's tomb. Genius, demon, or even monster were no longer appropriate words to describe Jian Wushuang. Many experts had then looked at Jian Wushuang like looking at a truly omnipotent god. And at that very moment, the omnipotent godlike young man in their eyes was advancing forward step by step with his sword pointed up at the heavens. As he slowly approached those 3 ultimate gods, there was a sneer on his face. "You 3 ultimate gods sure escaped fast." The trio felt extremely ashamed upon hearing his claim. 3 ultimate gods joined forces against 1 divine demon, and yet they were defeated altogether to the point they had to play their trump card to escape from the golden prison. That was truly embarrassing. Jian Wushuang stopped, but the jeering smile on his face was bigger than ever. "You can run, but you can't hide. If the 3 of you escape, what about the remaining Great Compassion sect's genius disciples? And how could your Great Compassion sect tame my anger?" Lei Chong and the other 2 ultimate gods were startled when Jian Wushuang said so. On the glade, Great Compassion sect's genius disciples such as Long Zishan and Yu Aoqing were bitterly disappointed. They discovered Jian Wushuang was very close to them. If Jian Wushuang took his anger out on them, they could possibly be instantly killed by Jian Wushuang with no room to struggle, as they were only disciples in the divine demon realm. Even Long Zishan and Yu Aoqing would never have any chance of surviving when facing Jian Wushuang. "Jian Wushuang, what exactly do you want to do?" Lei Chong shouted loudly. "What am I going to do? You have to ask yourself this question." Jian Wushuang's voice became cold. "From the moment I stepped into the tomb, I did nothing wrong and had not provoked anyone. Despite that, the genius disciples in the tomb came after me again and again. First, Pang Dao forced me to surrender the sword principal opportunities that I've earned. After that, Pang Dao wanted to put me to death in the fight for the position token. Out of no choice, I had killed him. Subsequently, the Great Compassion sect's genius disciples went berserk and wanted to kill me madly. Even after I came out of the tomb, your Great Compassion sect was among the first to attack me. Tu Qiancheng, the 4 great peak divine demons, and lastly you 3 supreme elders. Have I ever provoked any of you? Now, isn't it ridiculous for you to ask me what I wanted to do?" Jian Wushuang's voice echoed throughout the glade and shook the heavens. The various sects experts wore a strange look on their faces when they heard that. They thought about it carefully and seemed that it was as Jian Wushuang had said, he did not provoke anyone. On the other hand, it was those greedy people who had actively sought trouble with Jian Wushuang. Apart from the Great Compassion sect's disciples, other various sects disciples were also beheaded by Jian Wushuang. After Jian Wushuang came out of the tomb, it was Tu Qiancheng and the others who picked a fight with Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had been passive and merely fought for his life. In fact, Jian Wushuang suffered a big loss. In the distant void, those 3 ultimate gods were unsteady as they knew they were at fault. Lei Chong's voice eased. "Jian Wushuang, this incident may have been started by the Great Compassion sect, but you have killed many of our disciples who are genius disciples." Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold. "So what? I believe in the principle of doing good unto people who are good. If anyone offends me, I will pay back 100 or even 1,000 times worse." Chapter 2486. Explanation. Didn't you ask what I want to do? Let me tell you now. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold as it echoed throughout the world. Listen, I want you to think carefully after you go back and give me an explanation which satisfies me and relieves me of anger. Otherwise, I'll have to pay the Great Compassion Sect a visit in person to ask for it. You may have a strong background, so strong I may not be able to do anything against you. However, mark my words, as long as my anger persists, I'll stay at the Great Compassion Sect's entrance and kill anyone who steps out of the sect until the last disciple and expert. How dare you! Lei Chong yelled furiously. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. Try me. In addition, my patience is limited. I'll give you 1 month's time at most. Within a month, if the Great Compassion Sect fails to give me a satisfactory explanation, I will do as I've said. Lei Chong's face was pale. Very well. Let's wait and see. Go, Lei Chong yelled. The Great Compassion Sect's 3 ultimate gods as well as their disciples Long Zishan, Yu Aoqing, and the others, did not linger around and soon left. Jian Wushuang watched the Great Compassion Sect and the others leave without stopping them. After the Great Compassionate's people had left, Jian Wushuang turned around and was about to leave, but stopped abruptly after taking 2 steps. By the way, I remember when I walked out of the tomb, the Great Compassion Sect was not the only sect who wanted to attack me. Jian Wushuang's razor-sharp eyes swept across the remaining sect's experts around. The complexion of those experts instantly turned pale. Even Great Compassion Sect's 3 ultimate gods who stepped up could not do any harm to Jian Wushuang and were defeated. If Jian Wushuang were going to get even with the other sects, it would most probably end up. Humph, all of you who planned or had your disciples to do something to me in the tomb when I had a bounty. I remember all of them, so you better think about how to calm my anger. Otherwise. Jian Wushuang sneered and his laughter made those experts' scalps numb. Jian Wushuang ignored those sects and slowly walked in the direction where Narcissus Island's people were. In the void where Narcissus Island's disciples were located, Elder Linghe and the 7th Elder were trembling. Elder Linghe subconsciously came forward to greet him upon seeing Jian Wushuang's approach. Jian Wushuang. Elder Linghe spoke, only to find that Jian Wushuang was not interested in her. He merely walked past her and appeared in front of Elder Wujian. Brother Wujian, nothing happened to my parents, right? Jian Wushuang asked with a smile. His attitude towards Elder Wujian remained gentle, and because he was no longer a disciple of Narcissus Island, he did not address Wujian as an elder. Instead, he addressed Wujian as Brother Wujian, which was also quite cordial. Don't worry, my friend. Your parents are safe, said Wujian. Thank you, Brother Wujian. I'm going back to Anzhou Commandery now. You can let my parents go back too, said Jian Wushuang. All right. Wujian nodded slightly. If you ever come to Anzhou Commandery in the future, you can visit me. Jian Wushuang smiled. Definitely. Wujian was touched. After that, Jian Wushuang glanced at Zhongyi, Su Tong, Wei Qing, Xiao Hang, and the other disciples behind Wujian. He nodded politely and turned around. Big sister, I'm going back to Blazing Moon City now. Do you want to go together? Jian Wushuang asked with a smile. At the ancient Star Temple, Zhuo Bing immediately stood up. Yes, I haven't been back to see our parents for a long time. Zhuo Bing rushed towards Jian Wushuang. The ancient Star Temple elders and Ling Dan did not hold her back anymore. Let's go. Jian Wushuang and Zhuo Bing set off to leave, heading to the Blazing Moon City in Anzhou Commandery. The various sects experts who were present exchanged looks and felt complicated. Especially the 2 Narcissus Island elders, Elder Linghe and the 7th Elder. After Jian Wushuang walked out of the tomb, Jian Wushuang did not even glance at the 2 of them, let alone greet or speak to them. We shouldn't have made a decision so quickly. We should have waited longer for Jian Wushuang to come out of the tomb and observe his true strength before making a decision. Elder Linghe's face was distorted in anguish. No, the Lord was not wrong in making a timely decision. Only then can Narcissus Island not be implicated, but what we didn't expect is that Jian Wushuang's strength has improved so much after his trip to the tomb. Even the 3 Great Compassion Sect's Supreme Elders were defeated by him. The 7th Elder clicked her lips. They felt sorry for Narcissus Island. What a terrible loss of a genius. A divine demon who could defeat 3 ultimate gods at the same time. His combat power might have easily surpassed the Lord of Narcissus Island. Jian Wushuang was still young with huge potential. His future was bright and limitless. How great if such a genius disciple belonged to Narcissus Island. Although Jian Wushuang was only an outer disciple and did not have much sense of belonging in Narcissus Island, if they did their best, even if it were only symbolic to help him instead of chasing him out, perhaps Jian Wushuang would have felt very differently towards Narcissus Island. His sense of belonging might even have improved. Sadly, they had sent this superior demon away. Of course, they were regretful. On the side, Elder Wujian sneered, do you know how stupid the decision was? You are stupid, and so is the Lord. You don't even know how incredible Jian Wushuang is, nor try to see his potential before making a decision. What's the point of regretting it now? It's useless. Jian Wushuang no longer belongs to Narcissus Island. Both Elder Linghe and the 7th Elder were even more ashamed after hearing Elder Wujian's words. They could not but feel helpless when they thought of what could have been a better outcome. After Jian Wushuang left, the experts and genius disciples of the various sects on the glade also left one after another. Many sects left in a hurry as Jian Wushuang had made it clear to them. Those sects who had taken action against Jian Wushuang were on pins and needles. They must return to their sects immediately and discuss with their leaders how to deal with this matter. The trip to Saint's Tomb finally ended. Chapter 2487. Going home on the way back to Anzhou Commandery. Little brother, did you really defeat those 3 supreme elders of the Great Compassion sect? Little brother, how on earth did you cultivate your skills? Father sent me a message a long time ago, saying your sword skill is unparalleled in the world. I didn't believe it much at that time, but now. Zhuo Bing was talking non-stop while walking alongside Jian Wushuang. She was obviously impressed by her little brother's strength. Jian Wushuang was rather patient with his relatives and hence briefly responded to her questions. By the way, little brother, if the Great Compassion sect hasn't given you an explanation after a month, will you really pay them a visit? Zhuo Bing looked over quizzically. Jian Wushuang smiled. Of course I will, since I have already said so. I will definitely not break my promise. However, the Great Compassionate sect is recognized as the top sect of Wuxia Wilderness after all. Its background and strength should not be taken lightly. Zhuo Bing frowned. I know. I've absolute confidence to handle them since I've decided to do so. Big sister, don't worry. I'm not bragging. There may be some experts in Wuxia Wilderness who can beat me, but there are almost none who can kill me, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. He was not bragging. His divine body was extremely powerful from being a perfect chaotic creature. He had the perfect immortal body, making it impossible to kill him even if an undying saint tried to. Generally, the ultimate gods were the strongest in Wuxia Wilderness. Even when many ultimate gods combined their strength, they could pose no harm to him since they were unable to kill him. Jian Wushuang knew there was a mysterious expert in the Wuxia Wilderness when he mentioned almost none. Daoist Xianxia. The Daoist who visited Blazing Moon City when he was born, calculated his birth chart, and bestowed him the name Jian Wushuang. If there was anyone capable of killing him in the Wuxia Wilderness, Daoist Xianxia would be one of them. We're home. Jian Wushuang was pleased. After journeying for a few days, Zhuo Bing and Jian Wushuang finally arrived at Blazing Moon City. The two immediately went toward the governor's mansion. At the gate of the governor's mansion, whoosh, 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 whoosh. 4 figures flew out of the mansion and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Pleasure to meet Master Jian Wushuang. The 4 of them respectfully saluted Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang studied the 4 people in front of him. Those 4 people were second-class divine demons. They must be the ones sent by Elder Wujian to protect his parents. The 4 had already sent Shui Yunfeng and his wife to a safe place but returned to Blazing Moon City due to Jian Wushuang's return. Although Elder Wujian is an elder of Narcissus Island, it's remarkable he can mobilize 4 second-class divine demons based on his personal abilities. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and immediately waved his hand. 4 interspatial rings appeared in front of those 4 people. Thank you very much for your help. There are a lot of resources in these interspatial rings. Please take them as my gratitude. You may leave and return to Narcissus Island now that I'm here, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. The 4 second-class divine demons took those interspatial rings and took a quick glance inside it. They were overjoyed to discover its contents. Jian Wushuang had killed many genius disciples in the tomb, and among them were many first-class divine demons. He also killed the 5 peak divine demons such as Tu Chen Cheng outside the tomb. He was rich from making a fortune out of their belongings. The 4 second-class divine demons were extremely pleased to receive the gifts from Jian Wushuang. Master, we'll now leave. The 4 second-class divine demons left soon after. Jian Wushuang and Zhuo Bing stepped into the governor's mansion. As soon as they were in the mansion, Jian Wushuang immediately spotted Zhuo Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin, who were welcoming them from the inner courtyard. Father, mother. Zhuo Bing ran over immediately. Binger. Zhuo Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin were very happy. Father, mother. I'm home, Jian Wushuang called out gently. I heard from those 4 masters that you've encountered some troubles and was forced to secretly evacuate us. Your mother and I have been worrying about you. Has the trouble been resolved now? Zhuo Yunfeng looked over. Almost, replied Jian Wushuang. Father, little brother is amazing. His strength is even more impressive. We don't have to worry about anything with him around. Zhuo Bing comforted. Oh. Zhuo Yunfeng looked curious. Don't listen to big sister. She is exaggerating. As long as I'm around, I'll never let my relatives suffer. Jian Wushuang promised. Zhuo Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin looked at each other and were quite relieved upon hearing that. Luo Xinqin had figured Jian Wushuang's real origins. She suspected Jian Wushuang might be a reincarnated person. However, whether Jian Wushuang was a reincarnated person or otherwise did not matter to them, as they were content with Jian Wushuang willingly considered them as his parents. Come, let's go in and talk. It so happens Peng'er sent me a message yesterday, saying he will be back in a few days. We will have a reunion soon, said Zhuo Yunfeng. Second brother is coming back. Jian Wushuang raised his brows and a smile appeared on his face. 3 days later, Zhuo Peng returned from the Icefire God Palace. The family had finally reunited and had a family dinner. The family dinner. Zhuo Peng told his parents everything that had happened to Jian Wushuang in Saint's tomb. He even asked Jian Wushuang directly, Third brother, I heard from several seniors at Icefire God Palace that you killed a lot of various sects' genius disciples in the tomb, and those sects were angry. However, none of them could do anything to you. Even the ultimate gods who attempted to do so were defeated, right? Jian Wushuang was speechless. Ultimate gods. Zhuo Yunfeng was taken aback and immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. Husband, what are ultimate gods? Luo Xinqin asked. Ultimate gods are super experts in Wuxia wilderness. They are above the divine demon realm. I heard many top sects leaders in Wuxia wilderness, such as Lord of Great Compassion sect and Lord of Narcissus Island, are ultimate gods, said Zhuo Yunfeng. What? Luo Xinqin was startled and immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. She was still in shock when she said, Shuang'er, did you really defeated those ultimate gods? I merely engaged a few duels with them. It was not as exaggerated as what second brother said. Jian Wushuang touched his nose and smiled lightly. Even then, Zhuo Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin were still shocked. My son. Zhuo Yunfeng was amazed but was able to understand after considering Luo Xinqin's speculations. Just when Jian Wushuang and his family were reunited, a sudden huge explosion was heard in Wuxia wilderness. The Lord of Great Compassion sect who spent years in retreat came out. Chapter 2488. The Lord pays a visit. The Lord of Great Compassion sect, the true leader of the Great Compassion sect. The 3 supreme elders, Lei Chong and Jun Zhu, and Fan Zhenxian also held extremely high status in the Great Compassion sect. However, the true and sovereign leader of the Great Compassion sect was ultimately the Lord. He was also recognized as the strongest expert in the Wuxia wilderness, a genuine high-level ultimate god. The Lord had spent many years in retreat such that most daily management of the Great Compassion sect was handed over to the 3 supreme elders. The Lord had finally returned from his retreat. It happened right after the three supreme elders of Great Compassion sect were defeated head-on by Jian Wushuang. The true reason for the Lord's return was clear. On the second day of his return, he and the three ultimate gods left Great Compassion sect and headed towards Anzhou Commandery. News traveled and caused an uproar in Wuxia wilderness. In Anzhou Commandery, hidden in an underground dark palace, several figures headed by Governor Bai Yu stood waiting respectfully. Behind Bai Yu were patriarchs of the 6 top families in Anzhou Commandery, some of which Jian Wushuang knew, such as Lin Tifeng, head of the Lin family, Zhuge Yuankong, head of the Zhuge family, and Xiong Zong, head of Xiong family. Those people, including Bai Yu, were all waiting for someone. They stood there patiently waiting, with none dared to complain of any dissatisfactions they may have. After a long period of time, a bright light lit up at the palace's center and a spatial wormhole slowly came into sight. They are here. Bai Yu's expression became more alert and respectful than before. The light gradually dimmed and 4 figures stepped out of the spatial wormhole. Among those 4 people was a handsome middle-aged man who was dressed in a loose long robe, apart from Lei Chong and Jun Zhu and Fan Zhenxian. This middle-aged man had stubbles on his chin and was giving off the impression of someone with a warm personality. I'm Anzhou's governor, Bai Yu. It's my pleasure to meet all of you. Bai Yu and the 6 family heads behind him immediately bowed and saluted. Are you the governor? The handsome middle-aged man glanced at Bai Yu. Bai Yu shuddered under his gaze as if he was fully exposed. Lead me to Jian Wushuang, said the handsome middle-aged man casually. Yes, please follow me. Bai Yu immediately led the way. The 6 top family heads were grim and proper. They knew the identities of those 4 people very well. Any one of those 4 people could easily wipe out the 6 top families and even the entire Anzhou Commandery with just a wave of their hand. Under the guidance of Bai Yu, it took them some time before arriving at the Blazing Moon City where Jian Wushuang was. My lord, this is Blazing Moon City. Jian Wushuang's father is the city's governor. Jian Wushuang is currently staying in Blazing Moon City, Bai Yu reported. The handsome middle-aged man nodded slightly, but his eyes were examining the surrounding void. Ha ha, quite a few people are here. The handsome-looking middle-aged man faintly laughed, but his voice could be heard throughout the void. Behind the handsome middle-aged man, those 3 ultimate gods, including Lei Chong, looked extremely cold. As an ultimate god, his perception abilities were extremely sensitive, and he naturally felt the presence of those people hiding in the void. Most of those people were spies from various sects, some of which were the sect's experts, and even a few sect lords were among them. Oh, that person's here too. The handsome middle-aged man was surprised. As far as his soul power could reach, he could see an elegant green-robed man standing in the void not far away. Behind the elegant green-robed man were Narcissus Island's elders such as Elder Linghe and Elder Wujian. The elegant green-robed man was no other than the remarkable Ling Gong, Lord of Narcissus Island. Jian Wushuang was from Narcissus Island. What a pity. The handsome middle-aged man secretly shook his head. My lord, Jian Wushuang is in the governor's mansion. I'll bring him out now, said Bai Yu. No need. The handsome middle-aged man waved his hand and turned serious. Yun Zhan from the Great Compassion sect is here to visit my friend, Jian Wushuang. A magnificent voice came from the handsome middle-aged man which echoed throughout the entire Blazing Moon City. Anyone who was at any corner of Blazing Moon City could clearly hear the voice. In the governor's mansion, Jian Wushuang's family had gathered together. Jian Wushuang was holding a cup of tea in his hands. When the handsome middle-aged man's voice echoed throughout Blazing Moon City, Jian Wushuang's eyes focused as he put down the teacup. Little brother, Yun Zhan is. Zhuo Bing frowned and looked over. If I'm not mistaken, he should be Lord of Great Compassion sect. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Earlier, he received a message from Wujian about the Lord of Great Compassionate sect had come out from his retreat and was heading over to meet Jian Wushuang. The Lord of Great Compassion sect. Zhuo Bing, Zhuo Peng, and Zhuo Yunfeng were taken aback. The Great Compassion sect was the recognized top sect in Wuxia wilderness. It was not hard to imagine the status Lord of Great Compassion sect had. Shuang'er. Luo Xinqin looked at Jian Wushuang worriedly. He's just a high-level ultimate god. It's no big deal. Father and mother, just wait here for a while. I'll be back. Big sister, second brother, please stay by father and mother's side, said Jian Wushuang. Sure. Zhou Bing and Zhou Peng both nodded their heads. They knew they were unable to help Jian Wushuang at all. After Jian Wushuang made the arrangements, he departed towards the void above Blazing Moon City. Two apparitions flashed past, and Jian Wushuang soon appeared before the Great Compassion Sect Lord in the blink of an eye. Jian Wushuang studied the handsome middle-aged man. Is he the Lord of Great Compassion Sect? Jian Wushuang stared at the handsome middle-aged man while his eyes rolled around in deep thoughts. In any case, he could see the other party was a high-level ultimate god, which is incomparable to ordinary ultimate gods like Lei Chong and Fan Zhenxian. Are you Jian Wushuang? That handsome middle-aged man also stared at Jian Wushuang. His eyes were flashing with a strange luster as he attempted to read Jian Wushuang's expression but unfortunately failed. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently. Yes, I am. Is Lord Yunzhan here to give me an explanation? The Great Compassion Sect is the recognized top sect in Wuxia Wilderness. If you want us to give you an explanation, you must first prove your strength. It's useless even though you have previously defeated the three Supreme Elders, said Yunzhan solemnly. I wonder how Lord Yunzhan wants me to prove myself. Jian Wushuang smiled. It's very simple. Yunzhan raised his hand and stretched out 3 fingers. Just accept 3 of my palm strikes. Chapter 2489. 3 palm strikes. Withstand 3 palm strikes from you. Jian Wushuang smiled. He had speculated earlier a tyrannical sect like the Great Compassion Sect would not bow down to him easily. However, the Lord of Great Compassion Sect was more cunning when dealing with issues. He asked Jian Wushuang to withstand 3 palm strikes from him as a means to test Jian Wushuang's strength. If Jian Wushuang was not strong enough, he would die under the 3 palm strikes and the problem would be resolved. However, if those 3 palm strikes had neither killed nor injured Jian Wushuang, Yunzhan planned on making an excuse to retreat so as to avoid getting humiliated. One could not help but to admit that, as the Lord of Great Compassion Sect who made the sect flourish for many years, Yunzhan was good at dealing with matters. Very well, I'll take on your 3 palm strikes, said Jian Wushuang while nodding. Right here? Yunzhan asked. Sure. Let's do it high up in the sky to avoid disturbing the city below, said Jian Wushuang. Yunzhan nodded. Very well, here comes the first strike. Immediately after his voice faded, a majestic breath of divine powers began to gather within his palm. Everyone around was stunned at that divine power breath was a few times more powerful than a regular ultimate god's. As divine powers gathered to a certain point, Yunzhan's right hand turned into a warm jade before striking forward at the void. The strike seemed so nonchalant, but instantly stirred up a world of its own. Boom! A heaven-shaking energy began forming. A tall crystallized palm that covered half of Blazing Moon City formed out of thin air. The crystallized palm crushed the void and everything it came across before striking directly at Jian Wushuang. When the palm appeared, countless cultivators in Blazing Moon City raised their heads in shock and desperation. If that palm was to strike down on Blazing Moon City, the entire city would turn into ashes. Jian Wushuang was calmly watching that palm striking heading toward him. He shifted his body and swung out with the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. A blurry, almost dreamy sword shadow swept outward. The sword light swept toward the crystallized palm and sliced it apart right in the middle with a shattering noise. A complete trace of sword slash appeared and the palm was sliced into 2 halves. Large amounts of shattered crystallized divine power began to fan outwards, causing the void to suddenly become very colorful. However, both divine power and sword essence were confined in the skies, therefore not affecting Blazing Moon City at all. It's proven that you have good battle strength since you're able to shatter the charged palm strike containing 70 of my strength so easily. But watch out for the next one. I'll be using all of my powers. It's an ultimate secret technique that I created myself, said Yunzhan. Just come toward me. Jian Wushuang smiled with excitement shining in his eyes. Yunzhan squinted as surges of divine power began to gather in his palm again, but this time it was more expanded and powerful than before. A thin layer of red light appeared on the surface of his body as his palm gradually became blood red. With the power charged to its maximum, the blood-red palm was suddenly sent outwards. Giant devil ape! Yunzhan yelled out sharply. Boom! The heavens and earth shook. The ever-expanding red light lashed out together with the palm and began to crystallize. It formed a huge object in the blink of an eye. It was a several hundred meters tall, fierce-looking giant devil ape. The devil ape had blood-red eyes while swinging its pair of thick, strong arms. Its upward roar caused ripples between heaven and earth before its body burst straight towards Jian Wushuang. There were terrifying energies pressing against Jian Wushuang. Perhaps even early-stage ultimate gods such as Lei Chong and Fan Zhenxian would have failed to block such an attack. The Lord of Great Compassion sect is truly a high-level ultimate god. His abilities are truly remarkable. Jian Wushuang was exclaiming in his mind as he watched the giant devil ape charging at him. However, in the next moment, the stellar strength within his body began to violently rise. Using the stellar strength within, Jian Wushuang's energy had surged a great deal, so did his strength, which had also increased immensely. He held tightly on Blood Mountain sword, which was making waves of neighing sounds before taking a leap. Jian Wushuang nonchalantly swung the sword sideways. Just a nonchalant swing without sword light or sword shadows bursting out. There were no ripples either. The void in front of him was calm as well. However, under the calmness, ring! A gigantic swordlight appeared out of nowhere. The swordlight, as if connecting heaven and earth, was extremely bright and captivating. The moment it appeared, it became the core of heaven and earth, the focal point of it. It had even turned eternal. Throughout the oceans and wilderness, heaven and earth aligned. The swordlight appeared before the giant devil ape following a string of whipping noises. The giant devil ape roared maniacally and lashed out violently with its two arms. Boom! A terrifying rumble suddenly filled the air. The entire void was trembling as shapeless airwaves swirled up and swept in from multiple directions. Finally, the giant devil ape was completely dissolved and the swordlight which Jian Wushuang unleashed had disappeared as well. Jian Wushuang's body shook as he took a small step backward. As for Yunzhan, he did not retreat even a bit, since Jian Wushuang was slightly below his skill level. To be able to take my palm strike just now proves you're already above the 3 supreme elders of Great Compassion sect. However, what I'm going to unleash next is my most powerful creation and also my deadliest strike. It's called Crimson Elephants. Yunzhan's voice was cold as his hands had not even stopped for a while as he issued his third palm strike right after Jian Wushuang took his second. Boom! Heaven and earth shook again as blood mist exploded into the air immediately after that. The entire void above Blazing Moon City had turned crimson as though it was inside an ocean of blood. Powerful energies were gathered at the center of the blood ocean. A total of 3 gigantic creatures were formed within a moment. This time it was not giant devil apes that were formed, but 3 larger crimson elephants. The crimson elephants were over 100 meters tall, incomparably huge, and were projecting deadly energy from their bodies. After they were formed, the 3 crimson elephants trumpeted loudly before charging fiercely toward Jian Wushuang. Judging from the crimson elephant's momentum, even a mountain would be shattered into pieces, let alone a mere person. Jian Wushuang's face turned stern, but the excitement in his eyes was burning even brighter. Behind him, a great deal of golden-colored divine power was swirling. 1,000 meters tall golden god shadow was formed. Chapter 2490. Sit and talk. Jian Wushuang wore a cold expression as a powerful battle essence surged from his body. With his sword pointing forward, the energy from the endless cycle began to burst out. Hate! 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 The sword lights that swept out were filled with hatred as it slashed through the void, with sword essences filling up everywhere it passed by as if charting a way to heaven. 2 secret technique, 7 stars secret technique and divine god of punishment were mustering in full force and unleashed the most powerful sword technique which Jian Wushuang self-created, hateful path toward heaven. Jian Wushuang had unleashed his abilities to its extreme with that strike. In the blink of an eye, a sword light filled with infinite hatred collided with the 3 crimson elephants. Boom! Like the collision of 2 worlds, the boundless blood ocean was almost completely turned over. A pervasive crimson color formed from the terrifying crimson windstorm shrouded the entire void where Jian Wushuang was. The various sex experts who were hiding in the surrounding void and those countless cultivators in Blazing Moon City gazed intensely at the eye of the crimson windstorm. Xianxia was also staring at the storm when a strange light suddenly flashed in his eyes. With shattering noises, the crimson windstorm was torn open as a silhouette walked out and appeared before everyone's sight. You're truly the Lord of Great Compassion Sect. Your abilities are remarkable. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and was secretly in awe. He had lost in the last clash. The energies of those 3 crimson elephants were extremely powerful. It had utterly crushed his sword technique and impacted his body. Jian Wushuang's recovery abilities were incredible, hence he did not get seriously injured. However, he was sure that any regular ultimate god experts such as Fan Zhenxian or Jun Zhu would be doomed if they took the crimson elephants head-on. The battle strength of a high-leveled ultimate god was truly impressive. Although Jian Wushuang could fend off Lei Chong and Jun Zhu and Fan Zhenxian's joint attack, they were far from being a high-leveled ultimate god. Jian Wushuang was impressed by Yunxian's ability while Yunxian was staring at him intensely. That palm strike of mine has completely crushed his sword technique and directly impacted his body, but he isn't even a bit injured in the end. With such physical defensive capabilities, it won't be enough to kill him even if my abilities were twice as strong, Yunxian thought to himself. Jian Wushuang, my little friend. You've endured 3 palm strikes from me. Now, we can sit and talk. Yunxian waved his hand as he was speaking, causing a table and 2 chairs to appear in the void ahead. Please. Yunxian extended his hand. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate. His figure flashed and sat on one of those chairs. Yunxian sat on the other chair with his eyes gazing at the surrounding void. My friends from various sects, you don't need to hide anymore. Please show yourselves. Following his words, many various sex experts who were hiding in the surrounding void showed their faces. Some were even lords of certain sects as all of them stood in the void around the table. Ha ha, quite an audience here. Jian Wushuang intriguingly looked at them. His soul had power scanned through all of them and realized the 4 great ultimate gods of Great Compassion Sect and 2 other ultimate gods, with one of them being Lord of Narcissus Island. The sects that you have gone against certainly are not few. Shall all of us sit down and resolve the issue since they're here? Yunxian said quietly. How should it be resolved? Jian Wushuang looked at Yunxian. We and the various sects are truly in the wrong by provoking you, as you only reacted accordingly. The Great Compassion Sect and all the other sects should naturally apologize to you. In addition, if you have any requests, please don't hesitate to bring it up, my little friend. We'll not decline so long it's within our abilities, said Yunxian. Yunxian was undeniably very sincere. The sincerity shown did not only surprise Jian Wushuang. In fact, the various sex experts including Lei Chong and several supreme elders were equally surprised. The Great Compassion Sect was the first-ranked sect in Wuxia Wilderness. It had an extremely strong foundation and had always been extremely high-handed when dealing with matters. Yunxian, as a sect lord, was naturally filled with tricks. However, why did Yunxian suddenly show humility and apologize to the other party? Even though Jian Wushuang had endured his 3 palm strikes, surely it need not have come to that. My lord. Lei Chong and Jun Zhu and Fan Zhenxian secretly sent inquiry messages. I can't kill this Jian Wushuang and he naturally can't touch me either, judging from his current abilities. He's still far from being a threat toward the Great Compassion Sect. However, don't forget how young he's right now. According to the intelligence we've gathered, he's only in his early 20s. He could survive my attacks at merely his early 20s and a second-class divine demon to boot. Can you imagine what he would have become if given another 20 years? In other words, if he'd make a breakthrough into first-class, peak divine demon, or even an ultimate god like you, what will happen then? Yunxian replied to them. Lei Chong and Jun Zhu and Fan Zhenxian fell silent. It was true. What was most terrifying about Jian Wushuang was not the ability he currently possessed, as it was still within the Great Compassion Sect's capability to control. It was Jian Wushuang's natural talent, potential, and the fact that he had abilities that allowed him to fight someone several levels higher. If he was already so strong as a second-class divine demon, what would happen if he finally became an ultimate god? The three Supreme Elders were not so foolish to assume Jian Wushuang would never make a breakthrough into the ultimate God realm. On the contrary, Jian Wushuang's breakthrough into an ultimate God was almost guaranteed. In fact, there was a huge possibility of him becoming an undying saint. As soon as Jian Wushuang became an ultimate God, it would be child's play for him to annihilate the Great Compassion sect with his level-skipping abilities. The decision has been made. What we should do is to form relations with Jian Wushuang, and we should befriend him if possible. It's always better to have a friend rather than a powerful enemy, said Yunzhen. The three Supreme Elders agreed and did not argue further after listening to his explanation. Next to the table, Jian Wushuang was sitting there and looking intriguingly at Yunzhen. Yunzhen's reaction was truly out of Jian Wushuang's expectations, but perhaps because of a lord like Yunzhen, the Great Compassion sect could continue to flourish. Jian Wushuang said coldly, "Seeing that Lord Yun has spoken frankly to me, I shall not be ambiguous either. If you want me to cease feeling resentful toward the Great Compassion sect, you'll have to promise me a few things. First of all, I need some materials for my instrument cultivation. I tried finding these materials through other channels previously. Unfortunately, it's so rare I couldn't get my hands on them. The Great Compassion sect has a strong background. Perhaps you can help me with this."